So, good morning, friends. Today I have decided to discuss a very unique topic that dairying as enterprises. In extension education or in communication and business, that soft skill, it is very important that how we can promote the startups in the dairy segment. So I have taken a very decent example of that the dairy economics and all the parameters of dairying. I have decided to discuss with you people in this chapter, and I hope that through this will have finally the understanding that what is actually the importance of dairy business and how we can have ultimately it's very much useful in the segment of the agriculture, because the dairying is an integral part of the agro business. And we know that in dairying we are well aware that the farmers, those who are having the byproduct from agriculture, they are very much utilized in the dairying, and ultimately whatever the byproduct of animals, they are very much being utilized as a farmyard manures. So it means simultaneously it's complementing each other. And I have taken this example in a very decent manner for your better understanding. So, good morning, student. Today, I have discussed a case study of livestock production and management, and under which I have decided to discuss a real case study of the technological gap and what is actually the implementation of all the management practices by the dairy farmers in the Jaipur region of Rajasthan. So, I'll start sharing of this screen with. So, good morning, friends. Good morning, students. Now I'll start discussing a case study on technological gap in dairies of Jaipur region. So the objectives of discussion of this case study is that how we can have the classification of management practices, those who are being led by various scientists and available in the textbook of Dr. G.C. Banerjee, and what are the actually the implementation level by the farmers, and what is the gap actually which we have found in the dairies of the Jaipur region. So let us discuss one by one that what is actually the technological gap. The technological gap and the management practices, they are being categorized under the management of housing facilities, under which the housing system, that we have categorized that dairy farmers under among three categories. Fully, the people, those who are fully adopting the practice as it is as per the scientific recommendations, or the people, those who are not fully adopting but partially they are adopting the practice, and then the third one, where the people, those who are not even bothered about whatever scientifically is recommended. So as far as the management of housing facility is concerned, the 84% they are providing the housing facility partially, but they are not following the scientific the scientific parameters, those who are laid by the scientists for housing or for the domestication of dairy animals, either in the stall feeding or in the open chat system. But only the 16% people, they are found in Jaipur region, those who are following the almost all parameters of housing in the in their dairy farms. There are, that the three systems are there out of the 50 dairy farms, those we have surveyed in the study, that the farmers, those who are adopting single row system, they are 38%, whereas the face to face system being adopted by 44%, and tail to tail system being adopted by 18%. But out of these 50 farmers, only the 84% farmers, they are following all the housing parameters. For example, the space management being followed by only for 24%, then the 58% partially following, then the 18% they least bother about the proper space management among the animals, and the full floor spacement and the open spacement. All these things we will see that the 64% and 56% of the farmers, they are partially following the things, but the fully adoption being done by the only 16%, 20%, and 24%. Then the second, that the managemental practice, which is feeding and fodder that supply to the dairy animals, we'll see that there are the feeding according to quantity of feeding ingredient having dry matter intake. This is a thumb rule method actually. As per the body weight and the production, the dry matter content of the animals, that being calculated. And we'll see that the farmers, they are not even bothering about that the dry, but dry fodder, they are giving approximately 68% farmers. When we have calculated the dry fodder and the dry matter intake of the animals, we find that the 68% of the farmers, they are giving the dry matter in the form of the dry fodder, and almost 100%. But the rest 28%, they are partially following, and the 2%, they are not following the practice of giving dry matter in the form of the dry fodder. Whether the green fodder, we see that the 24% fully adopting at the 68, but maximum majority of the farmers, we know that they are partially following, because they are not aware that actually how much dry matter, how dry matter to be calculated, and how much it to be further divided into the dry fodder, green fodder, and concentrate. So because they are not aware, but whatever the traditionally the knowledge they are having, they are following this thing. So we'll see that the dry fodder being followed, and the followed by partially by 28%, and 68%, of course, they are giving dry fodder in the form of the dry matter almost, which is required for the animal. So this is very interesting. It's green fodder, the 68% partially following, then the concentrate 56%, they are partially following, then the mineral mixture 64%, then we'll see that the salt 62% farmers, liquid calcium 62 farmers, energy booster 70%. Just after the calving, they are giving watering almost the 82%. They are following the management practices which are required. Only the 18% they are following partially. Otherwise, no one is there who is not following the watering practice as an important practice, because they are aware. They have the slightly information with them that the provide the water intake to the animals is very important. Then the feeding according to the parameters. There are certain other parameters, that nutritional criteria parameters. So only the 68% DCP, TDN, and all. On the basis of that, we'll see that only the 68%. Nobody is following the nutritional parameters in their farms, but only the 68% farmers, because they don't have information regarding this thing. So that is not their fault, but because they are not having the information, that's why they are not balancing their feed with the nutritional criteria. Then the body weight requirement, body weight basis, only the 16% farmers, they are having the almost the information regarding the body weight of the animals, and they are giving the feed and fodder accordingly. Whereas the 76% partially, because they have the information that they are knowing that according to the body weight we have to fed the animal, but exact information they are not having. That's why they are partially feeding this thing. Only the 8% that farmers, they are dairy farmers, they are not having the information regarding the body weight. Then on the basis of breed and species, that they know that how much to fed to the indigenous cow, or how much to fed to the crossbred and exotic cow and the buffaloes. They are having that information, but exact information they are not having. But on the basis of that, the 36%, the farmers, they are giving the feed and fodder to their animals. Although the 50%, 56% are following partially this practice, where the 8% they are not aware regarding this information, that how we have to have the allocation of feed and fodder on the basis of the breed and species. Milk production basis, this is actually the commercial, that direct commercial, the angle. So almost the 56%, more than 50%, 56%, they are keeping this thing in mind, that how much to fed to animal, those who are giving the milk. So on the basis of that, this information, that 56% farmers, they are giving the feed and fodder on the basis of the milk production. 44% also following this practice partially. because they are knowing this thing, but because exact that how much to add per liter of milk, they are not aware regarding this thing. So that's why, but they are following this thing that the animals, those who are giving the higher milk or more milk, they are giving them the more feed ingredient. Whether the need basis that on the basis of whether the animal is pregnant or sometimes the sick, only the 16% dairy owners, they are having such type of that mindset that if the animal is required on the basis of the need, they are feeding their animals. Whereas the 68% farmers in the study, they are partially following, and the 16% they least bother about what the need of animals is there. And the common management practices, those who are being followed by the dairy farms, what is the gap is there, that we'll see that on the basis of the cleaning and washing of animals, the 12% they are fully following this practice, whereas the 88% they are reported that partially they are following, but no one has found that he is not following this practice. They are partially, they almost all, of course, all are following the practice. Cleaning of cleaning of animal shed, that 14% they are fully following that practice, and they are not allowing even if, immediately they remove the discharge of the animals from the shed. So that kind of that active farmers they are having, they know the hygiene, the importance of hygiene, so they are like that. But 86% found they are partially following this practice as per their convenience. They are following this thing, but they are definitely, they all are aware that the cleaning of the animal shed is required, and that marking, that the identification, that 82% they are having, and they are following any one of that identification of the animals, the procedure, either tagging or tattooing or like that. But tattooing, no one was found that those who are following the tattooing. Only the tagging is the way that generally being followed by the animals. And the 12% they are partially following, where the 6% they least bother because of the unawareness regarding this thing, and they are also not having any that particular record of the animals. Where the hoof trimming and all these are the actually the technical that things. Generally, the farmers, only the 10% farmers, they are having that we have to remove the hooves, but on the 76% farmers, partially whenever they found that the animal is in trouble because of the hooves, then they remove that hooves, and because this trimmer is required, the costly instrument, but this is generally not available everywhere. So they sometimes they are using the services of the veterinarian, those who are having this kind of instrument with them. They trim the hooves and this thing, but the 14% they least bother about this thing. Then the dehorning, castration, and grooming. We'll see that the dehorning and the castration, the grooming, partially 80% and 52% farmers they are following, whereas the castration being followed by the 64% farmers, but only the 36% because this practice is either being followed or not being followed. So this thing is like that. Then the breeding, artificial insemination, 100% that farmers they are those who are following the artificial insemination in the case of the cow. But in the case of the buffalo, mostly the farmers they are following, but the 10% farmers they believe in natural breeding. Then the management of pregnant animals. We'll see that what is the gap actually, what kind of that scenario is there in the field. We'll see that the steaming up in the last 15 to 20 days, the extra feeding for the pregnant animal before parturition, that is being followed by the 64% of the farmers, and 36% farmers they are partially following this practice. The management before and after parturition, 72% farmers they are following the management practices just before the parturition and after the parturition, whereas the 28% farmers they are partially following this practice. Then the management of calves and heifers, we'll see that this management practice is very important. The calves and heifers, we'll see that the 16% farmers they are properly managing. Our 68% and 76% will see that the partially following this practice. Milking management practices, we'll see that the washing and cleaning of utensil and milkers, hygiene, etc. The 68% farmers they are reported following this practice partially, whereas the 38, the 16%, they are not they are not following this thing. Washing and cleaning. Thinning of cows generally being followed by the 16% of, whereas we know that the 42% of the farmers they are allowing suckling of cows. Washing and soaking of butter and teat before milking the almost we will see that the 82% farmers they are following this practice, and the 18% partially following this practice, but after milking only the 8% farmers following this practice, whereas the 46% farmers they least bother about this thing. Milking methods, manual methods, the full end milking, only the 8% farmers we have observed that those who are doing the knuckling being followed by the 80%, whereas the stripping being followed by the 6%, and the machine milking is only the 6% farmers they are having the machine milking facility in the region. The position of milk animal just after milking. The milking, this is also a very important management practice. Whether the farmers, those who are being following this practice or not, this is very important, because for eradication for removing or reducing the possibility of mastitis, the position of milk animal just after milking, standing 30 minutes and more before after milking. Only the 6% dairy owners, because they are having they are progressive farmers, they are having this information and they are following this practice. They are not allowing animal to sit just after the milking, at least for 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes. But the 22% farmers, the partially they are not allowing this thing, but they are not aware regarding the scientific information. Whereas the 72% farmers they are not aware regarding this thing, and they are told that whether the animal is want to sit, then they are not even doing any issue for that. Then the metabolic and mastitis, that management of mastitis being followed by the 16% farmers, that we'll see that the 72% farmers they are partially following this practice, clean milk production, and then the 12% farmers they least bother about this thing. Then the metabolic disorders like milk fever, bloat, ketosis, that management of common healthcare. That milk fever is almost eradicated because of continuous feeding of mineral mixture and the liquid calcium to the high elders. Whereas the bloat and the ketosis and acidosis, they are metabolic disorder actually. And they generally, when the feed changes, that ketosis, you know that this is a imbalance of energy in the case of the in the case of the situation where the animal just give the birth to the young one. And on the time, generally the farmers they are giving either the jaggery solution, or because they up to certain extent they are following this thing. So as far as the milk fever is concerned, 72% partially, 66%, 62%, and 48%. partially that they are taking measures to avoid such type of situations, because they are aware that if we will not give attention to the animals, then this kind of that situation will be there. So they are partially following all the natural, that the traditional, that the methods they are having with them. Then the vaccination, we have observed that the vaccination against the few important and vital diseases like HS, FMD, BQ, and TUS, they are following this thing 100%. Whereas the brucellosis and filariasis, anthrax, and RP, all these, we have found that almost the people, they are not following this practice. Majority of people, they are not following this practice. So now, on the basis of that, the criteria that recommended practice had adopted by more than 75% dairy owners, partially adopted by the 75% dairy owners, and not adopted the practices by any dairy owners. So on the basis of that, that how much farmers they have adopted the practice, we have given this percentage on the basis of the information those they have given to us. Now I'll give the brief description that what actually in the tabular form we have given ahead. About 16%, that I'll read when you listen carefully, that about 16% dairy farm with pakka livestock shed, and rest 80% farmers is having partially housing facility for their livestock. And out of them, 68% are using bricks as a flooring, and inside the shed as a flooring material. It was also revealed that in the case study, that 44% of total dairy owners in the study area were having the face-to-face system. That I have already discussed, and told you that what kind of that situation is there. Then we'll see that about the feeding, that we'll see that we have seen that the 4% not following the dry fodder feeding on quantity basis. They prefer to provide ad lib, because they feel that this thing, to filling the hunger of the animal, they provide this thing, that dry fodder ad lib to the animal. That means they always they always have the something in the feeding alley, as far as the dry fodder is concerned. Only 30% area owners fully adopting the green fodder feeding practice to their livestock in the study area, whereas majority 68%, we know that the owners providing green fodder to their livestock partially, and remaining 8% dairy owners having no access to fed their livestock green fodder on the basis of the quantity and quality recommended by the scientists. And then we see that the concentrate feeding fully adopted by 24% of the herds in the study area, whereas 56% followed the concentrate feeding partially, and rest 8% not followed any scientific parameter, and they fed valuable concentrate as per their own wish and the personal traditional standard as per the availability and the resources. The majority, about 64% was recorded adopting feeding of mineral mixture partially, and remaining 20% following completely. And in general, only 16% are not believing in this practice, because they don't have the information. As far as the liquid calcium, phosphorus, and the mineral mixtures are concerned, that the 62% dairy owners provide liquid calcium, phosphorus partially, whereas the 94% farmers, they are giving that liquid calcium farmers, and the 24% fully adopting, 70% they are partially adopting. So 94% farmers, they are providing liquid calcium as per the situations they are having in the field. In respect of watering, is used followed by almost all the dairy owners in the study area, but study reveals that 82% dairy owners followed the scientific parameters of watering to their animals, because we know that the one for production of 1 liter that milk is 5 liter that approximately drinking water is required. In summer, whether in the winter, 3-4 liter is required. So this is very important, that if the animal is giving 10 liter or 20 liter or 30 liter of milk, then we have to calculate that how much milk, how much water is required to the animal. It was also concluded that no one was fulfilling the nutritional requirement parameter in complete sense, because they don't have the information. And whereas 32% found fed less amount of nutrient to their animals, partially as per the nutritional parameter recommended by the scientists. It was further revealed that according to the body weight, only 16% of dairy owners fulfilling the feeding parameter of total dry matter, which is required for their animals. And they are filling, they are giving dry fodder, green fodder, concentrate, and minerals along with this feed supplement. Whereas the 76% fed their had various feeding ingredient partially. Rest 8% were not following the practice in general. It was further concluded in the study that that the dairy owners fully feeding to their animals on the basis of the breeds and species recorded 36% only, whereas the 55% following partially, and 8% they are like that. They are not aware of this thing, and they least bother that what kind of species we are having. They fed as per their own wish. Milk production performance based feeding, a fully adoption was recorded in 56% farmers, so because they are unorganized but commercial farms, so they know if the animal is giving milk, so they have little bit attention on that. And whether 44% followed the practice partially, but 10% they least bother that what kind of production is there. They fed their animal as per their whims and the wish and the availability of the resource. The need-based feeding practice of various feed ingredient to their animals was complete adoption, followed by only 16% dairy farm, whereas we know that the 68% they are following this practice partially. The common management practices was partially followed by the remaining 88% of dairy farmers in the study area. It was recorded that 64% farmers taking fully care of pregnant animals in all means as per the recommended practices, and remaining 30 partially. It means almost the animals owner they are having that attention that they handle the pregnant animal very carefully. Similarly, in general, the care of animals before, after, and parturition, that we see that 72% completely follow this practice, whereas the 28% follow the practice partially. And as far as the clean milk and safe milk production is the majority, 68% dairy owners taken care about the protocol partially. It was further recorded that washing and soaking udder and teat practice before milking was fully adopted by 82% dairy owners, and only the 18% found for adopting the same practice partially, whereas the soaking and washing of butter and teeth after milking was not followed, only followed by the 8% farmers, because those who are the very progressive and they have the information. And we'll see that the 92% farmers they are following the the, the cleaning and washing of udder by the before milking. 84% will see that more than 80% farmers, the milkers knuckling method they are using, 6% is stripping. So only the 4% will see that those who are adopting the full-end milking. About 64% dairy owners were particular in following the deworming quarterly, whereas 28% and rest 8% follow the practice half yearly and annually, respectively, in the study area. It was revealed that in the present study, only the 16% of dairy owners completely follow the protocol of mastitis prevention, whereas the 72% of total dairy owners still partially following this practice. It was noticed that prevention of management of milk fever hypocalcemia was fully managed by 24% dairy owners, that is 68% managing partially, and rest others because they are not aware of this thing. That's why but because this disease is nowadays only 3 to 4% in the field. So now I think that because of the continuous feeding of feed supplements, the disease is almost controlled by the dairy owners. Both the tympanitis and the ketosis and further the acidosis, these are few problems. Those who are being no, so partially majority of farmers they are partially following the practice. They are partially following this thing very well. And the almost 100% of the dairy owners they are giving vaccination to their animals, but only the few dairy owners they are giving the very less number of dairy owners, those who are giving a vaccination to their animals against the anthrax or brucellosis or like that. So this is the thing which is observed very much, and if because of the unawareness regarding the information and the peculiarity of the disease of these kind of diseases, particularly those who are pandemic in nature. So this is the thing. On the basis of that, we'll see that we have discussed the entire that thing, that what is the technological gap in between the farmers and the scientific parameter, those who are being laid by the scientists. So on the basis of that, we Good afternoon, student. Today I have decided to discuss a very unique case study on major constraint in dairies of Jaipur region. Under this case study, the objectives are very clear that we'll try to understand the type of constraints and the problems and the challenges they are there in front of the dairy farmers of Jaipur region and the economic effects of these constraints on the business of the dairy. So first, let us have that how many types the constant generally they are there, and those who are being observed by the researcher, that constant in common management practices, then constant in feeding practices, then constant in reproduction practices, constant related to disease and healthcare management practices, economic and financial constraint, and then obstacle in milking, storage, marketing, and distribution. So these are few constraints, those who are being identified, and they are being thoroughly discussed with the dairy owners, and the outcome of that discussion is mentioned in the tabular form over here. That the first one, the constraint in common management practices. Here, all the common management practices, those who are scientifically being laid down in for dairy business, the researchers have identified that how many farmers, dairy owners, they have given, they are having problem related to housing. About 28% dairy owners, they have clearly mentioned that because of the shortage of land, because of the shortage of infrastructure facilities and the financial problem, they are not in position to have a proper housing arrangement for their livestock. So this is the thing which was reported by the 28% farmers, dairy owners. Then the other common constant related with the common management practices, for example, dehorning. The 18% dairy owners, they had constant in they have expressed their anguish net as far as the dehorning is concerned, because they told that if we dehorn our indigenous cattle, or if dehorn our indigenous buffalo, then because the horns, they are one of the most important feature of these characteristics of identifying these buffalo, or the indigenous cattle. So that's why they had a reservation regarding the horning of their animals. But in males, the mostly the dairy owners, they are ready to dehorn their animals. Tattooing and marking. Generally, the only the 6% that dairy owners, they had the objections and the constant in dehorning and in marking and identification of the animals, because they feel that and they identify their animal by animals itself. So they have that kind of reservation. So only the 6% people, they are not having the identification of their animals. Otherwise, the most of the people, those who are mostly the partially and fully that they are having the identification of their animals. Then the one of the most important that practice grooming. 38% dairy owners, they have reservations because they are not in position to groom and to brush their animals, because because it's required a lot of labor, that intensive job. So they are saying that the labor is an expensive issue for them, that and the labor is also not available, proper trained labor is also not available in their area. So that's why they have the reservations. So they cannot follow the grooming practice as recommended, or as being to be done at least in 15 days or in a month for the animals, because grooming is not only remove all the ectoparasites, but also it improve the respiration and the blood circulation of the animals. So indirectly, this grooming affect the the productivity of the animals. But the 38% dairy owners, they have the problems in grooming because of the labor that availability. Then the hoof screaming. This is very important. I think 58% dairy owners clearly show that they are not knowing about this practice, because they neither they have the instrument to do the trimming, or nor they have that kind of the training that they can perform this assignment. So they are solely depend upon the veterinarian, those they are in nearby of them. And if the situation where they feel that the hooves are Those are become the hurdles for the animals. Then they call the veterinarian and request them to perform this practice for them. Then the lack of training on dairy management skills. Yes, 78% that dairy owners they have the constraint because they are not having the proper that information regarding the new technology, those who are being used in the dairy sector. So because they are not having they are not being properly trained. That's why they have the constraint, and this facility is also not available to nearby of their unit. And this livestock business is a business where the 24 hours attention is required. In that case, they have the objections, they have the reservations. So the majority, 78% dairy owners, they have the lack of training on dairy management skills. Then the second, the group of constraint among feeding practices. Constant about good quality of dry fodder in rainy season. That in Rajasthan we have this issue because in generally in summers and in winters we have the availability of this dry fodder because when the scarcity is there then we can buy it from the nearby state. But in rainy season sometimes because of the heavy rain in the allied states, the availability of the dry fodder is a very big issue, and this was raised in the research by 38% of dairy farmers. Then the constraint about quality green fodder in summer and winters. That this is the problem of the entire Rajasthan, but in the region, in Jaipur region where the research being conducted, the farmers 46% they have expressed their anguishness that they because of the poor irrigation and the water scarcity, the green fodder they are not able to manage the green fodder thoroughly in summer and winters for their animals. Then the lack of information about nutritional requirement. Yes, this 86%. Even though the 14% those who are having the information, they are not having the entire information. But because of the continuous touch with the people, those who are in the expert in the veterinary segments, they have little bit information. Otherwise, 86% majority of the dairy owners they have expressed that they are not aware about the nutritional requirement of their animals at various stages and ages. Shortage of cheaper concentrate mix. Yes, this is 56% dairy owners they have raised their voice that the cost of concentrate is day by day increasing, where the profitability in milk production it decreases. So they have raised their voice against the non-availability of the constant at cheaper or the economic rates. Then shortage of cheaper feed additives and supplements. Yes, this is also a very big issue that those who are when we have discussed that there are few problems or metabolic disorders or some diseases, some that the abnormalities only because of the poor that supplementation of the feed and fodders. So they have told clearly that the majority about that 64% dairy owners of the region told that they are not in position to manage the feed to add the feed additives and the supplements with the regular feeding those they are giving to their livestock because of the high cost. Then the third group of constraint is among reproduction practices. That this is very important because the entire dairy business we know that the calving is one of the major that event which governs the entire business activity of the lactating animal because animals give milk after the calving. So constraint among reproduction practices they are very important. So under this had lack of knowledge of improved breeds, productive animal of cattle and buffalo. Yeah, 66% of the dairy owners of the region they have told that they are not aware regarding the complete knowledge of the poor improved breeds and the productive animal of cattle and buffalo. But whatever the information they are having on the basis of that they are keeping these animals, but because that they are also not aware about the resources from where they can hire these animals of improved breeds. Shortage of exotic and crossbred cow. Yes, this is also 82% of the dairy owners. They have registered their anguishness about the non-availability of the exotic breeds like Holstein Friesian and then Jersey and Ayrshire and the few crossbreeds like Kernshire or like that. They had told that we are not able to hire these animals from the sources where we sometimes we approach these sources those they are there, but we are not able to purchase the animal because of the shortage of these animals. Shortage of pure breed and improved breed of buffalo. Yes, this is also very important that because the huge number of animals in our country, they are non-descript or they are the mixed breed of several indigenous breeds. So in that case, the shortage of pure improved that buffalo breed, for example, the Murrah and Surti and sometimes the Jafrabadi also, they have registered their complaint that about that 58% dairy owners they are facing this issue. Then the low and poor conception rate via AI service. Yes, this is very important that the dairy farmers, those who are having the expertise in this particular dairy business, they told that the the conception rate via poor AI service is very less, and the researchers have also noticed during that discussion with the dairy owners that on and around it's 50% that conception rate is there, and in the case of the buffalo it is more even less than 50%. It's on and around 40, 40, 35, 40%. So in that case, the dairy owners, they have registered that because of this poor AI service, poor that success of consumption rate via AI service, they have the financial issue because they have to fed the animals. If once they fail because of the any reason, consumption prolonged, then 21 days feeding, they have to fed the animal extra without any reason. So in that case, they have registered that 64% dairy owners they are having this kind of the problem, and they have discussed this thing with the researchers. Then heat reduction, a bigger threats in buffalo. Yes, 56% of dairy owners they had told that they have not a bigger issue as far as the cows are concerned, but they have a very bigger issue in heat reduction because some in most of the time buffaloes they don't exhibit the sign of heat. So in that case, they when they are not able to because they are not able to even hire the services of the teaser bull or like that because this is one of the expensive service because teaser bulls they are nothing, they are just the sacrifice bulls, those who are there to, because their male edible is there, so they when they started jumping on these buffaloes, we can identify, and when she accepts this kind of that situation, then only the farmers can identify that this buffalo or particularly that female is in the heat. So this kind of the facility is also not available with them, so that's why they have registered that the huge that objection that they have the problem in reduction of the heat in buffalo. Problem in disposal of male cows. Yes, this is a very, very big issue. 92% of dairy owners, they have told very clearly because of that religious, that the reason religious and social reasons, they are not able to sell these male cows. So they are sending them into the nearby Gausala, those who are being governed by the government. But they are not able to use them in their agricultural practices because nowadays most of the work in agriculture is mechanized. So in that case, the uses of these bullocks or these males are almost become a outdated practice. So in that case, they have the big issue of disposal of these male cows. Then the problem in culling and disposal of unproductive and unfit cow and buffalo. That because of that only the reason is that the social and then the religious the sentiment they are there. That's why the most of the dairy owners they have told that they have the problem of disposal because they are in the in because when they know that the animal become uneconomical for them, even then they are bound to keep them in the herd. So that situation affect their economic health. So 66% of the dairy owners of the area they have registered their objection, and they have registered their complaint against this thing. Then the high mortality of male cows in obstetric and crossbred animals. That is 76% of dairy owners, they have registered that the calves in those who are those who are the outcome of the parturition, they are generally, the mortality is very high in these cases. So that's why they had the problem of next coming in generation, and they are facing problem. Constraint in disease and healthcare management. This is the fourth group of that the problem which we have categorized. The problem registered by the dairy owners is like that: shortage of proper timely vaccination facility in village against diseases. That only the 8% that farmers they have registered this, because the mostly the farmers, they, because in the extension work of the animal husbandry department is of premier quality in our region. So mostly the farmers, the animals, those who are being vaccinated for the severe diseases like hemorrhagic septicemia and the foot and mouth disease and the black quarter, these and the rinderpest, these are the few diseases, and against them, the mostly when the researcher has visited the dairy of this Jaipur region, we found that almost 100% dairy owners, they are vaccinating their animals for these diseases of pandemic nature. Then the lack of proper veterinarian service for timely treatment of these animals. 16% that dairy owners, they have registered that they are not able to find the proper veterinarian services while their animal is sick. Poor nutritional and feeding practices. Yes, 56% of dairy owners, they have registered that because of the nutritious feed is not available at a cheaper price, so they are bound to provide the poor nutritional that feeding material to their animals, and they have registered this complaint that if it is possible for as far as the availability of the cheaper that feed ingredient for the animals, then they are also able to provide them in a regular feeding. Shortage of medicinal aid at village level. Yes, this is only the 12% that dairy owners, they have registered their issue that they are not having the medical store in their village or at nearby their dairy farm. So they have a little bit problem, but only the 12%. Otherwise, we know that the Jaipur region is a very progressive and the region which is prominent as far as the dairy development is concerned. Shortage of skilled and cheap labor in various operations. Yes, 66% dairy owners, they have registered their complaint that they are not able to arrange and the availability of the skilled labor is a very big issue for them, because manually they are generally, mostly the farmers, they are milking their animal manually. So the milker. So if they have any problem for the regular milker, then they are not able to find the suitable person to milk the animal. So that issue is being raised by the dairy animals in a huge amount. Incidence of reproductive disorders like anistus, prolapse, metritis, endometritis, pyometra, retention of placenta, early embryonic mortality, dystocia, and abortions, etc. These 44% dairy owners, they have raised that these are also a very big challenge they are facing in their business. And the repeat breeding and infertility. Yes, 58% dairy owners, they have raised this issue that repeat breeding and infertility is a very big issue in their animals, and because of that, the entire economic activity of these animals is under the threat. Now the economic and financial constraint. Yes, they are very important. That high cost land and cattle shed construction. Yes, because the region is comprises of Jaipur and Jaipur, Alwar and Sikar and Jhunjhunu districts, and also the Dausa, which is nearby Jaipur. So here in these districts, because mostly the dairy is nearby the city, so the cost of land is higher. So they are not able to construct the proper shed for their animals. So they have raised this issue and 68% dairy owners, they have this issue of high cost of land. Then the high cost of milk animals, yes, this is also a very big issue that nowadays the crossbred, the pure breed of Jersey and Holstein, they are near about 1 lakh rupee. So in that case, 60,000 to 1 lakh rupee. Or in buffalo, good quality buffalo is on more than 1 lakh rupee nowadays. So that is a very big issue. They have because of that cost of these animals very high. So they are not able to purchase or accommodate more productive animal in their herd. Then the high cost of qualitative concentrate feed that we have already discussed in the feed, that constraint. And here the economic the reason they have also explained 56%. High cost of interest loan, because dairy farmers, those who are not that much, because it's unorganized, that they have not systematically, they are not having the records. So it's very difficult for them to have the credit to avail credit from the any government agencies, though they are available. So generally they are in the trap of the money lenders. So the high they are bound to bear the high cost of the interest on the credit those they are availing. So they have registered this thing, but the lack of loan and insurance facility at village level, only the 12%, because nowadays through the several startup those, and in the dairy sector, the government has taken so many steps, state and central government. So the loan is available at a very lucrative price in the village area. So only that 12% the dairy owners, they have registered their complaint against this particular question when we have asked. The obstacle regarding milking, storage, marketing, and distribution. Yes, this is a very important that aspect of any business, that the milking practices, the methods. 66% dairy owners, they know that their milkers, they are doing knuckling, but they don't have any options, because the trained labor is not available at trained and skilled labor is not available at a village level. So and the machine milking is little bit costlier for them. So they are bound to follow this kind of that activity, and even sometimes they are knowing this thing, but they are not able to do anything for this kind of thing. Then the lack of trained milker, the 34% that they have registered this thing. High cost of milking machine and maintenance. Yes, the most of the farmers, they have 82%. They show that the not only the high cost is there, but the maintenance is also very high. So that's why because for maintaining these machines, they require the specific engineers and the mechanics, those who are available at a very costlier price. So that's why they are generally following the manual milking. Then the high cost of milking machine maintenance that we have discussed, then the poor storage and cooling facilities. Yes, bulk cooler, we know that the milk bulk cooler, they are very costly, more than in lakhs it is coming. So that's why the dairy owners, they are not able to store their product, the milk, at their end, and that's why they are bound to sell it at a price which is available to them. Non-remunerative price of milk. Yes, this is also one of the major reasons that in the country, the drinking water people buy at 25 rupees a liter, but the milk they want about 30-40 rupees or like that. So in that case, the 68% the dairy owners, they are not happy with the price those they are getting for the business, for the production of milk, those they are producing at their dairy owners. And the irregular collection of milk and poor herd average. Yes, this is also a very big issue, because it's a livestock business where because of so many reasons, if the dairy owners, they are not able to maintain the herd average, and if they are not able to maintain the supply as per the commitment they are having in the market, so that's why they are also not able to get the remunerative price which they deserve. Then the poor transportation and distribution facilities also. This is also the reason, but only the 12% dairy owners, because mostly the dairy owners, they are having their own that vehicle of transportation of milk to the city area. So only the 12% dairy owners, so those they have registered this kind of that complaint that they are the cheaper rate transport facility is not available. So all all now I think I have completed the mostly the constraint those we are being faced by the dairy owners in the Jaipur region of Rajasthan. And all the constraints they are economically affecting the business of dairying in the region. And the suggestions given by the researcher in the form of the written suggestions they are being given to the policy makers and the people those who are facilitating the policies in the area of dairy segments. So if they address all these issues, the few issues are really very vital. For example, the poor conception rate, which is very through artificial insemination, which is near about 50%. So it means the 50% animals, the milk animals, they are not timely inseminated, or even inseminated, they are not conceived. So it means the 21 days extra feeding for 50% of the mass, which is a very big amount of that the cost which we are paying. So if the policy makers they arrange this kind of the things that we can improve the consumption rate through artificial insemination 10%, 20%, 30% like that, by taking the corrective measures, then it will be the very much helpful for the entire business. And definitely it will enhance the productivity and the financial that the gains to the dairy sector. So thank you very much, and see you in the next class.